friends. I wanted to put out a quick follow-up to Tuesday's election. Yesterday was still a little bit discombobulated with results coming in. In fact, guys, let me see if I can't. I'm about to get on the interstate, so I'm going to try to mic up here. Better. I hope that's a little bit better. So, I didn't want to put much out yesterday because I felt like there was a lot of noise happening yesterday and a lot of results that weren't quite in yet. And even still today, we still have that, which makes me really wonder how we've managed to streamline the whole process of voting. We used to be able to know who won an election the day after the election. Now that we have all this new technology and these streamlined processes, it takes weeks to determine who's won an election. Go figure. That tells you what's wrong with this country. Technology makes things take longer. Are you kidding me? But I wanted to point something out that is really important to me, and I think it's important that we all acknowledge and look at this. In fact, I'm trying to get my camera right because I'm driving, of course. I'm on a back road right now, but I'm about to get on a somewhat busy road. Let's use the election in Pennsylvania, for example. Not the governor's election, because I believe what happened there, of course we had a lot of money thrown at that, but Mastriano was a way better candidate. I think the jury is still out on that. I think everybody's using the term, autopsy to find out what happened in some of these elections. I think there's a lot to be to maybe come out on that. I know a lot of money was thrown at that governor's election. Just still shocked the people of Pennsylvania. Can't think more clearly than that. But let's stay on Pennsylvania. How in the hell do the people of Pennsylvania elect a mentally retarded, and I say that as politely as I can, I have a special needs son. I'm using the term as it means by definition, mentally incapable. However you want to call it. I'm not saying this as a slang term. I'm speaking in terms of the definition of the word. How do the people of Pennsylvania elect Fetterman over Oz? That's the big question everybody's asking. I've got the answer. I have the answer. Let me tell you why. First of all, if we want to talk political parties, the Democrats and Republicans hold their candidates to two different standards. The Democrats can run a child rapist and he will win an election. Fact. That is an absolute fact. If a Republican runs a candidate that jaywalks, they're going to somehow tie rape, child molestation, sexual abuse, whatever. They're going to find a way to tie something way more than what it really is to that. Republican candidates are held to a different standard than Democrats. That is an absolute fact. History backs that up. This current election backs that up. But that's not why Oz lost to Fetterman. Let me tell you why. The gun community. I don't say that negatively. I say that in a way more factual light. And I hope the gun community sent a message to the Republican Party for not listening to us. Back when McCormick was being primaried with Oz, myself and many of the other gun YouTube guys out there made the comments that you are running the wrong candidate. You are getting behind the wrong candidate. Dr. Oz is a known anti-gun candidate. Excuse my French, I don't give a shit what his campaign website says. The man does not agree with the concept of shall not be infringed when it comes to the Second Amendment. He is on record not agreeing with the Second Amendment. He is on record, vocally, video, audio, in print, of supporting red flag gun laws. Let me make this very clear. No true Second Amendment supporter will ever vote for a candidate who supports red flag gun laws. Let me repeat that. I'm not talking about a gun guy. I'm not talking about a pro-gun guy. I'm not talking about a hunter. I'm not talking about a semi-Second Amendment supporter. I'm talking about a true constitutional Second Amendment supporter that understands and believes in what the Second Amendment stands for. You will never get them to vote for your candidate, no matter how bad, just like in this instance, the opposing candidate is. The Democrats ran an absolute rotten potato who has a horrible record behind them, stands for horrible things, stands for un-American things, stands for even stronger anti-Second Amendment things than what Oz stood for, yet people still wouldn't vote for Oz in Pennsylvania. And I'm glad they didn't. They shouldn't have. Because a message needs to be sent to the Republican Party to stop taking gun owners and true Second Amendment supporters for granted. I'm tired of it. They take the Second Amendment folks for granted, and they convince these candidates like Oz, oh, hey man, all you got to do is put on your website that you support the Second Amendment. That's all you got to do. And you're going to get these idiots to follow you and vote for you. Nope. No, you're not. You're not. All these people asking this morning and yesterday morning, how could the people of Pennsylvania vote for Fetterman over Oz? It's because your true Second Amendment supporters sat home. They didn't go vote for this guy. You go look at the numbers. Typically speaking, in a governor's race in a particular state and a senatorial race, your votes are going to be very close. Granted, in many cases, more people will vote for the governor than senator. But it's not a huge gap. Go look at the numbers. Look at how fewer Republicans voted for Oz than those who voted for Mastriano. Go look at that. You can separate those votes. There's some kind of way to do it. I did it the other night. I don't remember how to do it. I'll try to find the links to show you what different demographics voted for a particular topic, not just political party. I'm talking about demographics within a political party. You can go find that. The Republican Party continues time and time again to ignore true Second Amendment supporters out there. They don't listen to them whenever they voice their opinion. They ignore them. Let me tell you something about the Second Amendment culture, if you will. Those of us like me and you guys out there, we're very principled people. We stand firm for what we believe in and what we stand for. I'm not going to bend. I'm not going to bend because I've seen enough bending with the Second Amendment over the years. And I think most of us have gotten hardened to that. We have no intention of compromising. That's why I'm such a supporter of Gun Owners of America. Their motto is no compromise. Hello. So you have got a party who assumes that they had Second Amendment voters vote for their candidate just because they told them to. The Republicans need to take a real strong look at what true conservative Second Amendment people did in the state of Pennsylvania when it comes to elections. Maybe they need to do some true exit polls that are directed just at the Second Amendment crowd. Because the Second Amendment crowd, it ain't just a couple of guys out there. It's millions of people. Millions. Go look at how many votes Fetterman won by over Oz. Now go look at how many true Second Amendment supporters that you have in the state of Pennsylvania. And you tell me if those Second Amendment supporters could not have pushed a true Second Amendment supporting candidate over the finish line in Pennsylvania. You would have had a different senator in the state of Pennsylvania if you guys would have run the right candidate. You ran the wrong guy. You got behind the wrong guy. The Democrat Party is the party who's known for trying to pick some kind of popular name to run on because they know there's no substance behind the candidate, so they just run a popular name because they realize a vast majority of the Democrat Party is a bunch of stupid people who can't make up their own mind. The Republicans did the same thing this time. The Republicans picked Oz, who had no qualifications for this job, none. Mehmet Oz is not a good candidate for Senate. Even if you take the Second Amendment out of it, he's not a good candidate. is essentially a TV guy. That's all he is. You ran this guy based on name recognition. You got guys like Sean Hannity on Fox News who threw all their weight behind Oz, and all they did was talk about the other candidate the whole time. They talked about how stupid Fetterman was. They talked about how much of a trust fund baby he was. They talked about how ignorant he was, how he couldn't string a sentence of words together. All they did was talk about the candidate because they couldn't talk about anything positive that Oz either believed in or has done other than being on Oprah Winfrey's show. And how did that work out? Oprah actually endorsed the other candidate. So you run this guy using the same playbook that the Democrats have run on for years. And it failed because the Republican voters, your true constitutional people out there who believe in true conservative values, do not fall for the same bullcrap name recognition tactics that the Democrat Party shoots for. You're trying to flex on a totally different crowd that doesn't play by those rules. We don't need to be spoon-fed a candidate that we go, oh, I know that guy, I recognize that name. I don't care. Our principles are different. We are different principled people. We do not look at popularity as being a strength. That is absolutely not a strength. I don't care how popular someone is. That doesn't qualify them to suddenly become the senator of my state. And I'm down in Louisiana, by the way, guys, so I'm speaking on Pennsylvania as a whole. I'm using Pennsylvania as an example of what the Republicans nationwide are doing wrong. It's just that Pennsylvania was probably the worst. You ran the worst candidate in that state. You were running against the easiest guy to defeat in Fetterman. There was no worse candidate being run for any office across this entire country than John Fetterman. There was none. You could not find a worse candidate to run than the Democratic Party did running John Fetterman. You know why? Because the Democrats were smarter than the Republicans, and they knew that Dr. Oz could not win that election. We have got to convince these idiots on the right to stop running those types of candidates and to listen to the true gun supporters out there. Not the hunters, not the guys who believe in guns, not the pro-gun guys. I'm talking about the pro-Constitution guys. That's who we got to convince these people to listen to. If the Republican Party continues to ignore gun owners, they will continue to lose elections. That is a fact. They ran the wrong guy in Pennsylvania. Somebody needs to be doing a day after report right now. Some kind of a recap of what went wrong. What did we do wrong? Something. And if ignoring Second Amendment supporter is not in there, the Republican Party has not learned a single thing. Because they have got to be looking back now, scratching their head, going, how did we lose to this absolute vegetable? They had it coming, and the Republican Party deserves it. If I were in the state of Pennsylvania, and I know this is probably going to hurt some feelings out there, I don't care. I would not have voted in that election. I would have voted for Mastriano for governor. I would not have voted for senator. Would not have done it. I'm not voting for Oz. The man is openly anti-Second Amendment by supporting red flag gun laws. I'm not putting my vote behind him and just hope that he changes his ways. God knows that the people in Washington, D.C. are certainly not going to change this man's opinion of the Second Amendment. They're only going to make it worse. So I'm not going to put my vote behind a guy who I know is going to go in there and become more anti-gun. And I've said this before. Fetterman, yes. Fetterman more dangerous? Yes, of course he is. Fetterman won't get reelected. I know he's in there for 6 years, but he's not going to get reelected because the Republicans could have put any number of candidates like McCormick, who ran against Oz in the primaries, who could have beat Fetterman. But Fetterman is dangerous because he's anti-gun and he will vote anti-gun. Oz would have been equally dangerous, because everybody would have sat back going, yeah, we got a Republican senator here. When that red flag gun law passes over Oz's desk, he would have signed it. He would have voted for it. So Fetterman is more dangerous in his ways overall with the entire political party. Oz would have supported some things that we agree with. But I'm sorry, guys. I am personally me. I am a single issue candidate, and then I look at the others. If you do not strongly support the Second Amendment, you will not get my vote. You won't get it. And Oz would have been a wolf in sheep's clothing, because everybody would have been sitting back going, yay, now we have the Senate. What good did that do anybody to have Republicans in the office whenever 11 of them voted for the anti-gun bill that Joe Biden just signed into law this summer? What good did it do to have an R behind their name? It didn't. So now we would have had, instead of 11 Republican senators vote for an anti-gun bill, we would have had 12. But we would have sat back over here being all happy and giddy, thinking that everything's okay because Dr. Oz has got our back, knowing damn well he's not going to. That's why in many cases these people on the surface, like Oz, are more dangerous than the Fettermans. I know Fetterman is anti-gun. I know he's going to vote for every single thing out there. I know that whenever I'm projecting where an anti-gun bill is going to wind up, that John Fetterman is going to be in that column over there voting against it or voting for the anti-gun bill. You got guys like Oz. Of course, I'm sure he would vote for every anti-gun bill, but one of those ones where you got a question mark next to his name, so you can't really tell where he stands. All that makes a difference, because you're trying to whip up votes in the Senate and in Congress whenever you're trying to get a bill passed or voted against. And that's people who would walk right past Dr. Oz's office thinking, oh, he's a Republican, we got him. And then he votes for the anti-gun bill. I'm sorry for people out there who were looking for this massive red wave, but I called this one months ago when I said Dr. Oz was not the right candidate to run. And you know what's going to happen? Republican Party doesn't listen to anybody. They're going to run him again for something. They're going to run him for Congress, something like that. He's going to resurface somewhere. They've convinced themselves that this guy is good for them somehow. But we go back to the gun culture. Washington, D.C., except for maybe a few guys like Clay Higgins, Ron Johnson, I think is a good one, Senator Rand Paul. Some of these guys over there in D.C., a very small select few, understand the gun culture. They understand the Second Amendment. They understand what it means, what it stands for, and they're unwavering when it comes to it. The vast majority of those people in D.C. don't understand that. They think that if they're not voting to take an AR-15 away from you, then they must be pro-gun. That's truly how they believe. They think that any other anti-gun law that infringes upon our Second Amendment rights is okay. As long as we're not banning guns, any other law is cool with them. The politicians in Washington, D.C. do not understand the gun culture. And I hope we as voters, I hope you guys out there, along with the way I look at it, I hope you continue to sit at home and not vote for these anti-gun Republicans that these people continue to run. And what I have done, and I will show you, I've made phone calls. I like to make follow-up phone calls. I make phone calls on Wednesday after the election, and I let people know why I did or why I didn't vote for their candidate. I do that because I want them to know. They're putting these stupid polls out there at Walmart and at 7-Elevens thinking that that's a representation of the entire country. It's not. You want to get a representation? Have us call in the day after election and tell you why we did or did not vote a certain way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I tell them, the letters that I write, the emails that I send, and I tell them, just like in Pennsylvania, I've already sent one letter. I'm going to send another one to them. Once things die down, they're more likely to listen. And tell them, you will continue to lose elections as long as you continue to do this. They need to hear from us, guys. We don't need to sit back and listen to their crying and whining and going, oh, we lost. We wanted to gain all these seats and we didn't win it. Let me tell you why you lost those seats. I can help you. Let me help you to help me in the future. So I'll be putting some more videos out on that. But I'm sorry, guys. Some people are going to have their feathers ruffled. Oh, we need to have as many Republicans in there as we can. No. There comes a time when we have to send messages, and this is the type of message that needs to be sent. Because when you have two guys, a Democrat and a Republican, who are in Congress or in the Senate, and an anti-gun bill crosses their desk, and both of them would have voted for it, neither one of those guys will ever get my vote. None. Neither one of them will. And I applaud the I applaud the pro-Second Amendment guys in the state of Pennsylvania who did not vote for Oz and did not vote for Fetterman. Because to me, somebody's running numbers right now. Somebody's running numbers. And they know that you guys simply sat out the senatorial election in Pennsylvania. And that is a message that I am perfectly okay with. And I hope we continue to do that. It needs to continue to happen. I don't want to see a change in that whatsoever, because at some point, somebody's going to listen. They may not acknowledge us, but they hear what's going on. And we have to continue that. Guys, I hope your states turned out the way you wanted them to. For the most part, here in Louisiana, I'm super happy. We have a Freedom Caucus guy in Clay Higgins who won. GOA endorsed him. I'm happy to say that I pushed that endorsement through. John Kennedy won, who is our Republican senator here in the state. Happy about that. He's super Second Amendment supporting. So, yes, in my area, I'm glad. The people that I wanted to win won. But I feel for the people of Pennsylvania right now, knowing that they didn't have a good choice for Senate over there. And now they're going to have to deal with listening to an absolute idiot, a mumbling, bumbling idiot, worse than Joe Biden, be their senator for 6 years. I hate to see that, guys. We'll catch you all next time. I just want to put this real quick live stream out because this has been eating away at me all day yesterday, and I felt like I needed to put that out there. We got to run better candidates. We have to run true Second Amendment supporting candidates, or else these Second Amendment voters are going to continue to sit these votes out or these elections out and not vote for these fragile little hollow candidates that the Republicans continue to put up there. Guys, I'll talk to you next time.